We're back at Breakthrough Counseling Services, and we're in session 7. Glad you could be with me here on this session. I'm Dr. Eddie DeValier from Breakthrough Counseling Services, and let's move right along to help those who are needing help to ride the wave. My work is based on cognitive therapy, cognitive counseling, and it's for what I call brain conditioning. It helps us to condition ourselves, especially with these props, to learn a behavior that is constructive rather than destructive. So these tools that I share here will help you in your walk with stress, distress, anxiety, and lowered feelings or depression. This is not psychotherapy, this is cognitive therapy. Psychotherapy has more to do with talking about your past, your present, and possibly your future, but that's not this here. This is proactive. We give you the tools and you use them right away, and there's no guessing here. You get to help yourself right away. My objective in doing this here, the Ride the Wave and Cross the Bridge Together program, is to calm the stress response, to help normalize so you can feel normal again and not like a wild animal on survival mode. So the objective is to calm the stress response and get the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system in balance so they're working in harmony, and when you need it, it's there. But we also want to prevent it from being hijacked. And that's what this program is about, to get you back in the ebb and flow of life and not living in survival mode. Okay, so that's what the program is about. You notice in front of me, I have all the tools. I'm going to give you some of them here. We're going to review some of them. You already have them. If you want to go back to right at session 1 when I started, it's a new program and we're building it. You can start from those videos and you'll see a lot more elaboration on these tools. But we'll go over them briefly here and help you again in your walk to freedom. So the props, why do I have the props? Don't always use them in my counseling sessions, but I do use them in groups, and especially with some of the folks that are in distress. But what I found in my practice is that when I would talk to people and give them the tools just verbally, when they call me in a crisis or distress, or they had a hard time coping, or they were in the middle of an anxiety attack, or a depressed mode, a lowered feelings, they would forget. And that's common because the brain is going into survival mode, and you're not going to remember a lot of this stuff when you're desperate or you're trying to figure out what's going on with you, with some of the feelings that you feel. The tools here, they kick in. They're in your subconscious. So because they're visuals, when you are going through a tough time, the visuals pop in your brain, in your mindset, in your imagination. And rather than you just being flooded with all these chemicals, with all this anxiety, instead, you think about the tools. And in many ways, it's on a subconscious level. You're not really aware. But when you think about the car analogies I've been giving, the stoplight, the rubber bands, all this here, it all kicks in. And I'm not interested in you having all of them at once to remember them and use them. Even if you remember one of them, it's going to help you to ride that wave and get you back normalized so you can function again, think clear again. And this can happen at work where you get a setback, where you're triggered. It can happen at home, and maybe you have kids or you have to perform, and you don't have the luxury of telling someone or exposing that you're going through a panic attack, an anxiety wave, or you have lowered feelings. Some people just have sadness and can't kick it right away. This will help you to get there. It'll help you to ride the wave and get on the other side. We want you coming back to shore and not like you're in the middle of a wave drowning in survival mode. We don't want that. That's what this program is all about. We want to free a lot of people I've worked with thousands over my 30-year career, and I'm going to help free a lot of people here with this new channel. So let these visuals help you, and the objective again is to prevent the hijack of the amygdala. If you notice in my other videos, this is an example of the amygdala. It's inside your brain. It's a small gland, very small, size of an almond. There's two of them, and they're working to alert you of any threats, danger, just anything to protect you. This is on in your brain, ready to alert. Your limbic system is ready to alert the other parts of your brain, and then the rest of the body kicks in to help you in case there is a danger. But as you've known in the past, I've told you about the big bear effect, that if you are acting as if there's a bear, then your body is going to respond. If you believe there is a bear in the room, really believe it, your body's going to react in the sympathetic nervous system, and it's going to trigger the stress response. Now, is there a bear in the room? Probably not, of course not, right? But why are we responding that way? Now watch this. With people, situations, and circumstances. It could be in your car, the way you drive, you're getting triggered there. It could be at the grocery store. It could be your children, a roommate, a relationship, husband, wife. It doesn't matter. In-laws, all of that. The key is not to trigger yourself if you don't need it. You don't need to be going into survival mode, especially with something domestic, something you can solve without getting triggered in your stress response, getting all these chemicals, your blood flowing, your blood pressure up. Trust me, it's not worth it. You keep living that way and doing that day in, day out, it's going to break down your body. It's going to break down your immune system. You're going to get high blood pressure. You're going to get sugar problems because of the glucose being used as a reserve. You're going to be hungry all the time, or you're going to not be hungry. You're going to gain weight, lose weight. It just depends on your genetics and your body. But we don't want you living like an animal on survival. That's not the way we live as humans. So we have to find a balance. I'm not asking you to sit on the couch all day so you don't get anxiety or some kind of stress, but you have to perform, you have to do what you have to do, but not as if everything is a 10, an emergency, okay? We have the 1, 5, 10 to remind us the ebb and flow of life. 1 to 5 is good. 1 is a non-emergency, everything's great, there's no stressors, there's no outside stressors, okay? What I call other people. There are no OPs stressing you out. That's good, that's a 1. When you start going up the numbers, 2, 3, 4 to 5, 5 is a threat. Now you pay attention, and you know that it's not something where you can just sit on the couch or just relax, that you have to pay attention because it could be something you have to problem solve. So when we get to a 5, problem solving is required because it could result in something more serious. If we get to 6, 7, 8, the threat level climbs, and whatever that threat can be, a person, a place, a situation, an animal, anything. 8, 9, when we get to 10, it's life-threatening. So we react as if you're going to die. Situations at home are not 10s, and we have to make sure that we decipher between what's a 1, 5, or 10. I promise you 95% of stuff is not a 10. We do have to be careful when we're driving, walking, in public places, but most of us live with the ebb and flow of life. So that's between a 1 and a 5. That's where I need to keep you so you're not triggering the stress response. So we don't want the accelerator on. If you look at the car analogy that I gave you, we stay in our lanes, and we don't want to have the accelerator at 80, 90 miles an hour for normal situations, because then you're going to rev and burn out. You're going to overstimulate your nervous system. But we also don't want the brakes on where you go nowhere and do nothing either, and you feel helpless and powerless. So we don't want that either. We want a balance between the brake and the accelerator. Once one of them is on too much, you're underperforming or overperforming, you need to chill. You need to put the brakes on at that point. So real quick, I'll go over the tools here, but my newest one here is a balloon. So we're going to use a simple balloon. Most of you know how this works. Why a balloon? Because it's very similar to the rubber bands. Okay, well, let's go over real fast some of these tools. I'll get them out of the way. The lighthouse is the amygdala in the brain. This is part of the limbic system, and this triggers the other parts of the brain to help you. Watch this. They're your best friend when you need it. But if you hijack it, they become your enemy because you're overreacting when there's no emergency. So this is the amygdala in the brain, part of the limbic system. Next, we have the car. I just showed you that. A lot of things we can learn from this. You have choices: go, stop, turn, reverse, try again, stay neutral. Everything a car does, you can do in your domestic life, in your work life, in your public life. You don't have to let other people control you on the road of the cars. You stay in your lane, and you don't let backseat drivers, front seat drivers, control you. You control the car. You have the license. You be responsible. Avoid accidents. So here we avoid mental accidents. So that's some choices with the car. And remember the brakes and the accelerator to balance between the two. If you put one on too much, you go nowhere, or the other one you crash. If you accelerate and you keep accelerating. The rubber band teaches you resiliency. How far can you stretch without snapping? You need to know. You need to know your limits. You know your anger. You know your frustration. You know your propensity to have self-pity parties, to want attention from other people. And then what do? Too angry or no response at all, where there's inaction, you want attention. So what do most people do? A lot of people do. They self-medicate. No one's coming to their pity party. Pity parties are by yourself, so why have one? Okay, get well and have a real party where people want to come around you because you're positive, you believe in yourself, and you're doing something productive in your life. That's why people will come over. They want to be around you. When you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're unproductive, people take advantage of you. That's what they do. They don't respect you. So respect yourself. Know your limits, okay? When you're stretched, just know this can snap. But there is resiliency here, okay? This is where we want you. But we don't want you like a little rubber band that snaps at every little thing. You know, we live in a society where it's too many sensitive people being offended by everything. No, we have resiliency and we can ignore people. We can talk things out with people, be civil, diplomatic, and not react all the time, okay? Here's the ride the wave. You know what this is? This is my famous surfboard. It is called the Ride the Wave program. This is a reminder again that we must ride our surfboards so that we can get from the big waves, small waves, the danger there, to shore. So this is ebb and flow of life. That's what this is for. In front of me, I have a belt. I'll tell you what that is in a second. This is the 1-5-10. This is the response to people, places, and things. Green is the 1. 5 is threat, possible danger, depends on how you manage it. And the red is definitely life-threatening. Headache, migraine, stroke. It's how we approach life. Not everything is stroke, of course. You have to call 911. A lot of people have strokes. It's the #1 killer in the world, heart disease. But this is where we want to stay. I'm talking about situations with people and yourself. You're not going to have a stroke every time something provokes you or you don't like something. So we want to keep it between these two. Okay, don't call 911 when things are in the green. That's a 1. Everything's fine. You'll call 911 when it's something is dangerous, life-threatening. Okay, so that's the stoplight there to remind us there. There we have the chart that I showed in another session. Right here we have the cars up here. You stay in your lane. You don't allow other people, OPs, to disrupt your lane. Okay, stop reacting to people and get to the finish line safely with no accidents. And you do this in your life. You do what you're supposed to do. You manage and drive yourself, and don't allow people to trigger you. We have the dartboard, as I shared before. You're trying, you keep trying. This is to build resiliency. There's no such thing as failure. The only time you fail is if you don't pick up the dart. That's failure. So I don't care if you land up here, outside here. If you drop it, you throw it to your neighbor's yard. It doesn't matter. Get another dartboard, get another dart, and you try again. Listen, you're scoring points in life every time you try. Everyone wants this, but that's hard to get, okay? That is a great goal, though, to strive for the bullseye. But we can't get the bullseye in every single thing in our lives. Be flexible, okay? Be like the rubber band, and be realistic. We must be realist when we have anxiety conditions, depression conditions, and mental health conditions. This is to help you realize you don't have to be like your neighbor. You don't have to compete with other people. This is your life. This is your attempts at trying life and being good, being successful, okay? And I promise you, you're scoring points along the way as you go on. And finally, I want to teach you here about the belt. Are you the paper or the belt? If you notice, this is when people are under stress, when they're being pressured, something happens in life, you feel tension. Okay, this is the whole premise of stress, anxiety, depression, anything else, any other mental health conditions. This is life. So when life is putting pressure on you, is this you? Okay, do you break easy? Do you snap easily? Okay, we're trying to get you in this program to be like the belt, so that you build this resiliency. Watch this. Nothing is going to snap you. Nothing's going to break you. You get to a part, listen, you get to a part in your life, a place in your life, you're like this belt, okay? You have resiliency. And you don't let people anymore, you don't let the past, you don't let your family, you don't let former friends, you don't let them, enemies, people who don't like you, people who don't want to be around you. You said, you're not going to break me. You're not going to in any way affect my mental health anymore. You know why? Because your mental health is your number one priority. If you don't have your mental health, you have nothing. I mean, you could have physical health, but if you're snapped out of reality, if you're irrational, if you can't cope and function, it doesn't matter how good your body operates and functions. You need your mental faculties, your mental capacity. So we want to build resiliency. And there are people who are suffering. This is for you. It's on a daily basis. They're going through hell. These people, I call them heroes. They get up every day and they have no choice. They have to get up and they suffer like this. This is for you as well. This is for people who maybe are not going through things and you want to help other people in your family members. This is for them as well. But those who are suffering with depression and anxiety, bipolar, ADD, ADHD, sleep disorders, mood disorder, it doesn't matter. Anything behavioral, I'm here to help you. I've helped thousands. And we're going to get you functioning again, okay? We're going to get you to a place where you get the ebb and flow back in your life. We're after confidence, security. And remember my formula, the math formula. We're going to get you out of the freeze. So the word freeze, F-R-E-E-Z-E, minus Z-E, plus D-O-M spells freedom. That's where we want you. We want you to be free, to be you, to have spontaneity again, to not have to worry when you get up, or when you get up and you're walking around, or you're at work, or you're in the car, or in social places, and you just feel like you can't do it, you can't function, you can't relate, you don't have the emotional intelligence or the social skills. This condition is overtaking you, is consuming you. We'll get you free from that, but just be patient. I didn't bring the hourglass, I forgot that, but remember the hourglass. You cannot force healing. The best analogy I can give you is you get a scrape on your leg after falling. Maybe you tripped or fell off a bike. Now the body's going to go and try to heal you. It will. It'll immediately set up inflammation and start the healing process. But you can't rush that. You can't rush a scab on or off. The scab is going to form and it peels off slowly. If you touch it too fast, it's going to hurt. It's the same thing with healing with your conditions. Just be patient. Let the hourglass, remember the grains of sand passing through. It will eventually come through. Your nervous system will restore. You will restore back to parasympathetic and sympathetic ebb and flow. That's what we're after. Let's do our balloon analogy here real fast. So you blow up a balloon. So the idea now is that when we started, there was no tension, okay? This is parasympathetic nervous system. This is when you're at the beach, playing, you're having fun, dancing, you're out at a restaurant, having a good time with family, holidays, all inclusive. This is your parasympathetic nervous. Relaxed, you're good to go. This is the sympathetic nervous system that it's been affected, okay? It's called tension. There's force. There's a demand on you. Here's the demand. Okay? This creates tension in your body. It might seem silly, but it's the best analogy to teach about how weight gets on us, on our minds, on our bodies. Bills, people, communication with people, strangers, people you don't know, okay? Politics, in-laws, all that stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. Listen, it could even be something that's positive. It could be a wedding you're planning for, engagement. It could be something like a new job, a new place to move, a new home, bills that you're taking on. It's the same thing. Your body doesn't know the difference between a positive or negative response as far as the demand. So this is to teach us to know our limits. It's like the rubber band. If I keep going, you know what's going to happen. It's going to pop. That's what we don't want you to do. In your everyday life, you're overloading. The stressors are too much. So you need to know the balance between the two. When we take in too much air, we call that air hunger. When you're taking in too much CO2, the body gets overloaded with that oxygen. And what happens is it kind of cuts off the thinking, and you're going to get an imbalance, and it's going to create symptoms, weird tingly feelings, possibly your heart rate's going to go up. This is where you need to know the breathing, how to breathe properly, okay? So know your limit. We don't want you doing nothing either, where nothing gets done, underperforming, but not where you overload yourself and then pop, goes the weasel. So we don't want you doing that. The balloon is an excellent example to keep you where? Ebb and flow. You do that, your nervous system will love you. You'll feel productive. You won't feel overwhelmed. Your adrenals will relax. They won't be pumping out all the cortisol. And your kidneys won't have to overload. Your liver pumping out all the glucose as well. Your cholesterol, your blood pressure. There are so many things behind the scenes happening. And ultimately, brain freeze. We don't want that. So we'll set you free with these tools. And in my future channels, my program, I'm going to be bringing in supplements that you can try. We're going to also talk about the body, where I educate the folks about how your body works, what's happening behind the scenes. I'm going to talk about the physiology, the biology of stress, so you have all the tools at your disposal. You will be well educated, because your doctor probably won't tell you in a doctor visit. He's too busy. Okay, I know they're trying to do a good job. Continue seeing your doctors, continue taking your medications, don't stop that. And if you're interested in coming off the medicines, then you need to talk to your doctor or your pharmacist. That's a job for them. Okay, but stay on your programs that you're on. I'm a natural health practitioner here to help you. I'm also a licensed counselor, and been doing this for a long time. So thank you for being here with us. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. And I will see you in session 8. We're building this channel. Help me build it by spreading the news. Dr. Dubai is saying, we'll see you. Keep on surfing.